Om Shuklam Varadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Pashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir me sada Yenakshara samamnyayam adhigamya maheshwarat kritsnam vyakaranam proktam tasmai paninaye namaha vakyakaram vararuchim bhashyakaram patanjalim Paninim Sutrakarancha Pranatosmi Munitrayam Vagartha Viva Samprikto Vagartha Pratipattaye Jagatah Pitarau Vande Parvati Parameshwarau Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Namaste everyone. So we'll get started with our class. Let's see. It's nice to see all the faces. So I just have some vocabulary. As I was saying, this ending neuter, so just to give us a GPS location of where we're at right now, right? Sanskrit is made up of vakyam, vakyani, sentences. So sentences are made up of two types of padam or padani, right? Word or words. Two types of words. There's a noun, subantam padam, and a verb, tingantam padam. Okay, so tingantam padam is made up of dhatu plus ting pratyaya. Yep, and then that has its own flow that goes. But noun is called subantam padam. Noun is made up of pratipadikam and supratyaya. Okay, so we're in all the different pratipadika, all the different pratipadikams, right? So we saw Rama, we saw Sarva, we saw Tad, Etad, Yad, etc. Now we're looking at Jnana Shabda. So which is a ending neuter, right? Because when you are in Pratipadika, you want to look for two things. What is it ending with and what is its gender, right? We have to know those two things. So we know it's a ending and we know it's napumsaka. Now, so here are a few words that we know are a ending napumsaka. So we don't get confused and think they're like Rama Shabda. So when I say sadhanam, that can be 1-1 or 2-1. When I say shastram, that can be 1-1 or 2-1. It's not Rama Shabdavat. It's Jnana Shabdavat. It's like Jnana Shabda. When I say vairagyam, I'm saying the 1-1 version. Tattvam 1-1. Dukkham 1-1, right? So let's decline. So you can look at you can look in your book for Jnana Shabda if you want to go along with it. That's page 99. Or you can try to do it from memory, right? The first two are a little bit more difficult, so you might need the chart, page 99. Okay, so let's pick one word. Let's pick tattvam. Okay, so we have tattvam is 1-1. Tattve, tattvani. Tattvam, tattve, tattvani. Then 3-1, tattvena, tattvabhyam, tattvaihi. Tattvaya, fourth case, tattvabhyam, tattvebhyah. Fifth case, tattvat, tattvabhyam, tattvebhyah. Sixth case, tattvasya, tattvayoho, tattvanam. Yeah. 7-1, tattve, tattvayoho, tattweshu. He tattva, he tattve, he tattvani. Okay. Even if you're looking, give yourself a round of applause. There we go. Right. Yeah, that's not as easy, right? We have to, all the way after dinner, I'm making you do this. It could be difficult. Okay, so we have one question here. Harprasadji, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Now we know the Pratipadika. We know the Pratipadika.
Yep.
We know the first person. We know Pratama Vibhakti Ekavachana.
Correct.
So if we know the Pratama Vibhakti Ekavachana, like Annam, Aranyam, Indriyam, by that can we ascertain that word, by knowing one, it is a Napumsakalinga or a Srilinga or a Pullinga?
Yeah, so you could do that way. So for example, if you saw Aranyam and someone told you that it is 1-1, if they told you it is 1-1, then you know it can't be like Ramashabda. Okay. Right? You know it can't be masculine. It has to be neuter. But the question is, so that's definitely possible. But if someone is not telling you, right, then Aranyam can be 1-1 or 2-1.
Yeah,
or it can be masculine 2-1. Right? If you didn't know, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't know. Yeah. But if you do know and it's 1-1, then yes, you can safely assume that is Napumsakaling.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Nilima?
Yeah. There is in the non-Karaka Vibhakti part, this is on page 81 of the book 1.
Mm-hmm.
On the non-Karaka Vibhakti part where they give the fifth case used Dig Shabda, Dig Yoga Panchami. So we have the Purva, the Para, the Uttara, the Prak, and then the Anantaram.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one example of each sentence is given, for those. So for first three, Purva, Para, and Uttara, this is given 1-1. But for Prak and Anantaram, it's a 0. It's like, whatever. So I don't know. I was kind of reviewing and just this question popped up. So, I mean.
Yeah. So this is a question. So going back to looking at Panchami Vibhakti. So so there's some of those words are like ending Sarva Shabda, right? So some of them decline. But some of them just naturally do not decline, like Prak. They just don't decline. Now, why that's the case? It's just like that, right? So some of them do decline. Some of them do not decline. When do not decline, it's called indeclinable, right? Not decline, indeclinable, or avyaya. So that means we can say prakaha, prako, prakaha, right? That's not going to happen like that. So I hope that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Because like swasti, swaha, they don't have they get 0.
They don't.
But then these two, and then that was a little, but now since they're not declinable, then they get a 0 value kind of. Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Okay. So let's continue. So we're going to switch over to our Sandhi book. So sorry to jump all around. Let's go to our Maheshwara Sutra. So while you're flipping, we can chant the Maheshwara Sutra. Om A I Un Rlik E Ong I Ouch Haya Varata Lan Nyama Gananam Jabhang Ghadadash Jabagadadash Kapha Chatha Chatatav Kapai Shashasar Hal Iti Maheshwarani Sutrani. So we're going to open our book to where it starts, Ach Sandhi. So somewhere around where it starts with Guna-sandhiḥ. Guna-sandhiḥ is around page 46, I believe, for you all. Tell me if I'm wrong in the chat. Yeah, 46, okay. Okay, so Guna-sandhiḥ. So we looked at this a little bit last time, and we're going to review what we did last time, but also add some context here. So Guna-sandhiḥ is pretty important. So we want to make sure we understand this, okay? So we're in Ach Sandhi. Ach Sandhi means Sandhi dealing with vowels, right? So vowel Sandhi. Sandhi dealing with vowels. So this is going to be when we have one vowel meeting another vowel. Okay, one vowel meeting another vowel. Now here, we're specifically looking at when you have avarna. Avarna means a or a. Right? Avarna, when we say akara, akara just means short a. When I say avarna, it can be short or long. Okay? So here we're just starting off with sandhi when the left side, the purva shabda, or purva shabda is a or a. Now, here it says, and then when avarna, any type of akara is immediately followed by ach, a guna is the substitute in place of the two. Okay, so we need to see each of these words carefully. So avarnas preceding, and it says ach is following. Now, I want you to make a little bit of a change. Now, according to the sutra, ach is correct. But there's some exceptions to this rule, which we will see as we go on. So I want to make this a little bit more refined for our purposes, okay? So don't cross this out. What I would do instead of ach is I would maybe put it in brackets and really say ik. 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 Okay, so we can also do the same here. And so you see that all the way on the top here. So when or is immediately followed by ik, you see it on the top there. Guna is the substitute in place of the two sounds. So all these places right now, instead of ach, we want to put ik. Okay, when or is immediately followed by ik, guna is the substitute, okay? So what is ik? We have to look at our chart. Okay? Do you see E? Yeah, so E, you see E. And then I see kakara. So ik is how many letters? 4 letters. E, you include the first u, r, l. E, u, r, l. So right here, you can write those 4 letters. E, u, r, l. We skip the it letters that are circled. Okay. E, u, r, l. Okay, so now what I know is if I have a or a next to e, u, r, l, then both of those sounds will get replaced by something called guna. Okay, guna is a specific grammatical term here. In Vedanta, guna might mean quality, but here we're talking about a grammatical term that stands for 3 letters: a, o. Okay, so gunaha is a, and o. Guna is those 3 letters: a, o. You see it at the bottom here. Okay, so now we can look at this up here. When a or a is immediately followed by ik, guna is the substitute in place of the 2 sounds. Okay, so notice how in ik there's 3 letters, or sorry, there's 4 letters, and guna there's these 3 letters. So how do you know what is going to replace what? You know what's going to replace what based on the sthana, based on a place of pronunciation in the mouth. Okay. A is guttural. A is guttural palatal, meaning palatal is when your back of your tongue goes the palate. O is guttural labial, so guttural throat, and you use your tongue. So O. You have to move your mouth and your throat at the same time. Okay, so practically, let's look at an example, okay? We saw that a has to be preceding and e, u, r, l. We're gonna look at all 4. So let's start with e or e, either one. When a or a is guttural, e is palatal. So therefore, you're going to replace both with the guttural palatal sound, which is a. There's a question, why is ka not included in ik? Ka is what we call an it letter. It helps us with abbreviations. So we only choose, you start with the first letter, you never include the last letter in the abbreviation. So ka is the last letter, you never include it. So it's non-inclusive of that abbreviation. Okay, so ik, you don't include the kaka. Okay, sorry, coming back here. When you a or a next to e or e, they both get replaced by a. Okay, so whether you remember the guttural palatal or not, when you have and e, both get replaced by a. E kind of sounds like a. So when I have, for example, I have cha plus iti. Cha is, so let me erase that. So cha is, right? Cha is ca plus iti. So I have this a and this E both get replaced by A. Let me make that more clear. Both get replaced by A. And so you get cheti. Okay, you get A and E both get replaced, so it becomes cheti. Rama plus Ishvaraha becomes A and E become A. So Rameshvaraha. Ganga, so it's long A plus iti, short E, you get Gangeti. Ganga plus Ishvaraha, both are long, you get Gangeshvaraha. Okay, A or plus E, both get replaced by A. Now, let's look at the next one. When you immediately, when you avarna, immediately followed by uvarna, meaning u or u, both get replaced by o. Okay, u and o kind of sound similar. Because, right, a is guttural, u is labial, so then you find the guttural labial one of these, which is o. U and O kind of sound similar also. That's another way of remembering it. That's so when you have that plus U, and O. Right? Remember that guna means 3 letters. O. So guna replaces that, meaning the guna, which is most similar to the 2 sounds. So here the guna letter is O. So I have cha plus uktaha becomes U become O. So choktaha. Cha plus urdhvam, chordhvam. Yatha plus uktaha, yathoktaha. Yatha urdhvam becomes yathordhvam. Okay. Let's skip this next part for right now. We're going to come back to it. I want to look at this. So this is Rama Shabda. You don't need to pull this up in your book. I just wanted to show you something. Here we have Ramena. Okay, 3-1, Ramen. No, let's look at, just to make this easier, let's look at Rame, 7-1. Okay, Guna is applied to 3-1 and 7-1. I'll show you how. Rame is really Rama plus E. E is the 7-1 pratyaya that's added. So now I have A plus E, right? I have this A plus E, both get replaced by which letter? A. So this becomes Rame. Similarly, the 3-1. Here, I'll show you 3-1 with Jnanam. You have Jnanena. Right? So you have Jnana plus Ina. It's the 3-1 pratyaya used to be Ina. So I have A plus E, both get replaced by A. So then it becomes Jnanena. So that's guṇa-sandhiḥ, because A plus Ik both get replaced by guna letter. Same thing you see with 7-1, Jnane, just like what we did up here. So that's why sometimes I'll say, oh, we'll do this in the future, because you have to learn a lot of the sandhi to be able to understand why that becomes like that. Let's do some practice. Okay. Can you tell me in the chat if I say, Let's do this one. Ganga plus udakam. What does it become if you have Ganga plus udakam? So you have A plus U, both get replaced by, looks good so far, yeah? Looking good, yeah? So when you have A plus U, both get replaced by O. So Gangodakam. Okay, now say, let's do 13. Everyone say it with me. Sarva plus Upanishad becomes Sarvopanishad. Maya plus Upadhihi becomes Mayopadhihi. So some of these things which are in our Upanishad, or I'm saying, now you know why when I break the Sandhi, it sounds a little bit different. Okay. Na plus iti becomes, can you put it in the chat? Yeah, it's just like that pot that you put water in your nose. Neti pot. No, neti. Neti. Yeah. So na plus iti becomes neti, like the pot. Okay. Okay, now say it with me, okay? Cha plus iti becomes cheti. Yoga plus ishvaraha becomes Yogeshwaraha. Gana plus Ishaha becomes Ganeshaha. Ishaha means Lord. Gana means of the group of Devatas. So Lord of the Devatas. Ganeshaha. Gaja plus Indraha. Gajendraha. Gajendra Moksha. Right? You've probably heard of that. Okay. Now we need to look at when Rakara follows. Rikara, sorry. The value R. This is slightly more complicated, okay? So hopefully you've gotten what so far. Okay, don't read this quite yet, okay? Let's look here. When I or right? This is always going to be the case with this rule. When you have avarna preceding and you have r or r. Then what happens is akara, guna is akara. Okay, so the guna letter that replaces both of them is akara. Because we don't have a guttural cerebral letter that we can use, guna, to replace them. So we choose the guttural, and akara is guttural. Okay, so let's just look at this much for now. So there's akara, okay? Akara replaces both of them. Now what happens is when you're replacing r, that is going to be followed by rakara, the consonant rakara. Okay, ra follows the a. So Krishna plus riddhihi becomes Krishnardihi. Okay. Notice how this little thing on the top there is a ra, not r. Devanagari is complex reading it because sometimes r is like a little hook. R can be underneath. That's a bit complicated, the way we write ra, that repa. Ganga plus riddhihi becomes Gangardihi. There's a question here. Do two words always have to be sandhid? Or can you leave the two words separate? So usually you want to apply sandhi between words when possible, right? There's no problem. You can leave it, right? You don't have to apply it, but oftentimes we do because it helps with, when we're speaking fast, it helps us pronounce. So Krishna Riddhihi becomes Krishna Riddhihi. It helps with somewhat pronunciation. So it doesn't always have to be, but it oftentimes is. And mostly why this is relevant is when we're looking at Upanishad, for example, sandhi is usually applied already. And so you should be able to go from a sandhid word to unsandhid word. I like how we made sandhi into an English verb. I appreciate that, actually. Okay. So there's a question, should it be gangardhihi with long akara? It should not, because akara and r, the vowel r, both get replaced by ar, short So even if this was long or short, whatever it is, they both get replaced by short akara. So it's gangardhihi, not gangardhihi, because you get the short akara. Hariprasadji, you have one question?
No, same question.
Same question, okay. Now, let's look at, remember we said ik. Ik is I, U, R, L. So we saw I, U, R, and we say L. Now this is a vowel, technically. We don't see it very often, and it's very bizarre, but that's just how it is. There's a vowel called L. So is followed by dental, R, and both get replaced by, oops, didn't mean to do that. Both get replaced by akara. Let's just look at this. Both get replaced by akara because that's a guna letter. Guna letter. And when it's replacing these two, then a lakara, the consonant la, is added. So a plus l becomes al. Al. Like I love you. I'm just kidding. So like tava likaraha becomes double lakaraha. I can't even say it because lakara, la and ka are added together. Twalkara. It would be twalkaraha. Yeah, twalkaraha. No, tava lakaraha. You can't really pronounce it very well because between the la and ka, they're conjunct consonant. Okay, so the vowel l becomes a plus this consonant la. Al. You don't see this very often. That's why she couldn't even think of a word starting with l. She may just said lakara, the letter la. Lakara means the letter la. There's no words really that have this. They're very rare. So let's look at this, okay? So when I have Deva plus Rishihi, Devarshihi. Okay, so let's try to write that. Devarshihi. You see this rakara on the top? So if I were to write it in English, it would, I mean, yeah. So it would be Devarshihi. So Deva plus Rishihi becomes Devarshihi. Brahma plus Rishihi becomes Brahmarshihi. Brahmarshihi. Parama plus Rishihi becomes Paramarshihi. Oops. Paramarshihi. Papa plus Riddhihi becomes Papardihi. Okay. Ooh, so that's guṇa-sandhiḥ. Okay. We mainly want to focus on these at the top. When you have a plus e, it becomes what? It becomes a. When you have a varna plus u, varna becomes o. Okay, that's the gunas. All right, let's break some sandhi and then what time is it? Yeah, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, let's just do one or two. Tatha, tatheti. Tatheti is tatha iti. The difficulty with this section is you have to know some vocabulary. And you have to know whether it's long or short. For example, Gangeshwaraha, Ganga is long A plus Ishaha. E is E, long E. So it requires some vocabulary. So this is a little bit more difficult because you don't know if it's short or long, etc. But good thing is we have a Sandhi book exercise answer sheet. So you can try it out, give it your best shot, and you can. So your homework is to do all of these even numbers, and then this whole section number 2. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.